One of the interesting things that I've learned being the Nomad Capitalist, helping people go overseas, and also just studying money habits of people in general, is how much of this stuff is behavioral. How much money you can save or make by going offshore is not just tied to the actual tax rate that you're paying. Sure, if you can go from 40% to 5% in taxes, that's a savings. But I found that there are actually a number of other factors that motivate people to actually make more money and save more money once they've gone overseas, once they've moved their business offshore. And I'm going to walk you through a live case study of someone whom I recently helped and show you 6 different ways that I was able to put more money in their pocket by living the Nomad Capitalist lifestyle. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson, and let's go through a case study. We'll call this gentleman Tom, and we'll call his wife Mary. Not their real names, of course, but I want to walk you through the different elements that I picked up on, because Tom and Mary were a couple that I really got into the human element with. When I talk to people about what they want their life to look like, what they want their money to look like, how they want to put more money in their pocket through legal tax savings, what I always try and do is be the personal trainer. I try and be the coach and get to the heart of the matter, because it's not all about ones and zeros. This is your life. And so I really get into that with Tom and Mary, and I want to walk you through the 6 things that we talked about. So the number one thing, pretty obvious, is reduce taxes. This is obviously a very easy way to save money. I talk about if I'm applying the 80-20 rule to myself and to my business, I want to get more money. For a lot of people in the West, this is like the number one big win. And so in Tom's case, I'm just going to use round numbers. Tom's making $500K a year. He's paying about $220K a year. And so we were able to put together the strategy to where this is going to go down to about $10K a year. By moving him to a new country, he's going to pay a little bit of tax there on part of his money. So that's step number 1. The second part is cost of living reduction. So Tom and Mary are living in Western Europe. It is expensive, and they are paying about $100,000 a year to live. I guess $8,000 a month, so $96,000 a year. That's the current cost of living. So up here, $210,000 savings so far, right? Plus $210,000. Cost of living, $96,000. They're going to move to Southern Europe, where they can not only get this kind of tax break, but they're going to be able to cut the cost of living the same lifestyle, actually a little bit better, because where they're living, the rent is really high. So they're going to live even better, and they're going to get that down to about $48,000 to $50K. So that's 50% reduction. We've just added another $48,000 to their pocket, and they said, hey, you know what? We like more sun. We like more warm weather. We'll be happy to live somewhere in the South where we can lower our cost of living as a benefit. Number 3, reduced stress and compliance. This is one where we start to get into the real kind of behavioral, human level stuff. Particularly for U.S. citizens, it can be a bit stressful. Now, this is why I recommend having the right team of professionals behind you, because if you know it's being handled, the stuff is pretty straightforward. But if you're just going out without a plan, as Tom and Mary were before they came to me, they were stressed because Tom is still a U.S. citizen. They have European citizenship together, but Tom's still a U.S. citizen, so he's still filing all this paperwork in the U.S. It's causing him stress. He hadn't been able to find anybody who could really help him do this stuff. And then when he got a guy who was he was kind of sort of into, he had to pay the guy to do his taxes. So he's paying about $4,000 a year to do his U.S. taxes for overseas, and he's paying about another $4,000 to do his taxes in Europe. That number comes down to about $1,000 once we. Tom actually came to me and saying, "Hey, I don't want to be associated with the U.S. anymore," and I said, "Okay." And so we're going to basically be paying only the bill for Southern European country, $1,000. But the missing piece here that we can't really quantify is, what is Tom losing by being stressed? I know firsthand how difficult it is when I've been figuring this stuff out for myself for the last almost 11 years now, studying this stuff. It's hard to put a number, but when you're stressed, you're not productive. And so we'll just put some big question marks there. We added an extra 7K. These numbers are getting kind of small, but 7K plus the question marks, because what could you do if you weren't so stressed? What could you do if you weren't chasing down your accountant to file your forms? What could you do if you just knew exactly how to handle things? That's obviously part of what I try and do here at Nomad. This is also, so number 4 now, revenue from, let's call it off limits. That sounds kind of weird, but in this case it was, hey, you know what, I want to invest in cryptocurrencies, but like the US and Europe and all that, like I'm not really sure, especially the US, there's a lot of restrictions. I think I'm going to be taxed on crypto. It's kind of a moving target. I'm afraid to do it, so I'm just not going to do it. Another question mark. But I know a lot of people who are in the US and doing cryptos, and it's caused them troubles. They want to get a second passport. They want to get out. Or they're sitting on the sidelines because wherever they live, they're like, I don't know what the regulations are. I'd like to go somewhere where the regulations are more friendly. So who knows how much money you could make from doing that. There are investments that maybe you can't make until you get your offshore banking set up, or until you get whatever set up. And so this is kind of another thing that you have to consider is, am I losing money because I'm not doing certain stuff that I don't know how to do, I'm afraid to do, or I can't do until I make a change in my life. Number 5, increase revenue from partner. This is if you have a husband, a wife, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, whatever. I work with a number of couples where one person is really crushing it, making $500,000, $1 million bucks a year, and the other person has a job, and they'd like to be doing something else, but they're not really sure where to start. And so, the approach that I like to take sometimes is you just got to jump in the pool. And so in the case of Tom and Mary, Mary's got a job making $50K a year, so that income is going to be gone when she leaves. She can't keep working at that job remotely. But Mary has some skills where she can do freelancing. She can go and find clients, and she can do this from anywhere in the world. And so again, that's kind of a question mark. We estimated she could probably make closer to $80,000 a year. Okay. And there's a minor tax, so I'm not really taking that into consideration, but she's going to add an extra $30,000 a year in income. And the thing is, okay, well, Mary could do that now. Well, sure, but, some of us get comfortable, and, we got $500K coming in plus the $50K, so, okay, it's cool. I totally understand that. But when someone gets pushed in the pool, now it's like, oh, yeah, now I have to do that thing that I really want to do. And so I think that's a benefit that people who don't have partners or who have partners actually should consider is there a way that my partner can now make more money and we save the tax on that money by going overseas and kind of putting them into a kind of a forced entrepreneurship. I actually think, as someone who doesn't have kids and may in the future, that putting your kids into a system where they're going to be going different places is a good environment, and that's a good situation, but that's not revenue related. And so here's the last piece. This is, I think, perhaps the most important one because I felt this myself, and that is more revenue from feeling, just call it feeling good. Here's what I mean by this. How many of you watching, comment below, are holding back your true potential, aren't making as much as you'd like, particularly if you're in perhaps the consulting or other space where you're doing the work personally, but how many of you are holding back on your maximum revenue because you're saying 44% of it's going out the door? I remember growing up in a family where we'd talk about, is it worth working if the government's taking close to half your money? Where you're in a business partnership where they get half, they do nothing for you, and they're taking half your money. And so I'd like to know what you think about this. Leave your comment. Are you leaving money on the table? When I talked to Tom, he mentioned it, and it really resonated with me because, yeah, I can tell you that when I was living in the United States, there was a part of me that said, I don't know, I could invest like this 50 grand in building my business or doing some advertising, but, you know, like every dollar I make, they're just going to take part of it anyway. And so now Tom's saying, well, you know what? I think I can get this up to like 800 grand. Now, that's speculative. None of us will know until it actually happens. But Tom is already acknowledging, he's self-aware of the fact that he is not doing as much as he could. So we'll call this another question mark. Here's the point of this exercise. These are 6 different ways. And by the way, if you have other suggestions, other ways that you think you can save or make more money, also comment below. I want to hear your story. But I'm walking you through taxes. Okay, that's obvious. $210,000 added. Cost of living. Okay. Perhaps that's, you know, people think about that one too. Now we're up to $258. Reduced stress and compliance. We're adding 7 grand, so now we're at $265,000 in extra money, plus whatever the benefit of less stress is, even if that means you live longer or you take, you know, fewer, blood pressure medications later or something. Revenue from things that are off limits, we don't know what that is, but potentially could be substantial if done correctly. Revenue from partner, in this case we're adding 30,000, so now we're at 295. Revenue from feeling good, we don't know, but that could be an extra. That could double the 295. This could be, I mean, literally, when I talked about in another video how, you pay 44% in income tax, but then you pay so many other different taxes. You pay sales tax, you pay GST, you register your car, you pay property tax, stamp duty. There's so many taxes. It's actually a lot more than 44% of your income. And so here's a situation where, let's just say, forget the crypto, forget the stress, the blood pressure, medications, all that. I mean, we're adding 295 potentially times 2. That's more than this. Some of these numbers are speculative, but hey, I'll be happy to more than double my income anytime. The average person out there who works at a job is looking for a 2 or 3% raise. The average small business owner is happy if they grow their business 10% a year. We're talking about more than doubling things by using these 6 strategies. I want to know what you think about this. I think that human behavior and motivation is very important. I think that's a core factor in going offshore. I think a lot of people aren't living up to their potential because they're sitting at home, sitting on the sidelines, sitting on the bench, not doing everything that they can, and they're missing all of these benefits.
I'm Andrew Henderson, and if you're looking for a way to legally reduce your taxes, build your freedom, and create wealth faster as a global citizen, then you've come to the right place. I want you to do 3 things right now. Number 1, click the button to subscribe to our channel. Make sure to get notifications so you never miss a new video. Number 2, get a copy of our #1 best-selling book, Nomad Capitalist, on Amazon and learn all the dozens of benefits of our lifestyle. And number 3, if you're already a 6 or 7-figure entrepreneur and you want to put these strategies in place, go to nomadcapitalist.com and find out how to get some help.